So there is a new case of a wellness check going wrong in Canada. This is I'm going to play this video for you. This is a report on police allegedly punching a woman during a wellness check. Now, I've already covered recently a couple of wellness checks gone wrong, in terms of one that ended in a fatality. Police actually broke into a man's home for a wellness check on the second floor, walked into his balcony, broke through his door. He was holding a knife. They shot him. He's dead. That was a wellness check. Another one in BC where a woman was dragged across the carpet by her arms behind her while she was passed out on the carpet, dragged her across the floor. Then the officer put her foot on the woman's head and then grabbed her by the hair. Another so-called wellness check. Well, here's another one. So this report here from CBC News.
Shanna Blanchard says in late May she was struggling with depression amid the COVID-19 pandemic. She says after a rather heated argument with her son, she locked herself in the bathroom crying. She had scissors with her. When she wouldn't come out, her son called 911 to get her some mental health support. She says at no time did she mention suicide. Blanchard says she then heard sirens. She admits she is terrified of the RCMP. She asked the Mounties who came to her house to leave, but heard more police voices, so she pushed a dresser in front of her bedroom door. Eventually, she tried to come out, but claims officers were holding the door. She wrenched it open and says she saw 5 male Mounties reach for their guns. An officer told her they were apprehending her under the Mental Health Act. She said no and claims that's when a Mountie punched her in the face and knocked her unconscious. And just a warning for you, some of the images and sounds you are about to see may be disturbing to some people. This surveillance video shows Mounties taking Blanchard out of her house. Her face appears to be covered there. She says the officers smashed her face into the banister and she asked them to take that cover off. You can also hear her screaming. Now, eventually, you're going to see Blanchard in the back of the police car. There she is, her face bloodied. This is after and eventually bruised and with broken teeth. Blanchard claims the officers before this dropped her down a flight of stairs.
I became aware that I was falling down the stairs about halfway when my poor broken face bounced off the banister and left a mark, left a blood smear, a print.
Blanchard says she was taken to hospital, checked for a broken nose, 2 broken teeth, and later released. She says her children did not see what happened. She has no witnesses because police took them to a nearby house.
And Dan, the IIO is now investigating this incident. What do they have to say?
Well, it's not saying much right now, the police watchdog. However, it is involved. Take a listen.
The bottom line is that currently the police do have obligations. And as I say, they have an obligation at common law to protect life. So if they're given information about someone whose life may be in danger, they have certain obligations that they do have to attend. Of course, if they are going to use force, they have to do it within a reasonable range.
We have reached out to Nanaimo RCMP and Island District RCMP. They are not commenting right now because of the IIO investigation, and we'll have much more on this story at 11 o'clock.
All right. This is just another case of why police should not be called to wellness checks. Now, even apart from the details of this story, just think about in terms of the responsibilities that police forces have, that these officers have. They respond to all sorts of calls. Does it really make sense to have a one-size-fits-all force dealing with all of this? Just think about it. If you have 10 different responsibilities, are you going to be as effective as at those 10 different responsibilities that each have their own particular way of dealing with them, as opposed to if you had 2 or 3 responsibilities? Obviously not. So by taking responsibilities off of the police, which would mean defund the police, put some of that money into other areas like public health, into public housing, when it comes to like homelessness, for example, but putting money into other areas where you have specialized people answer those sorts of calls, people that know how to deal with a situation, with a wellness check, with somebody in crisis, that actually know how to deal with it, as opposed to having police officers where the people leave worse off than when the cops arrived. So, like, to me, this is the most obvious point. I don't understand how anybody could be against this. If you see how often these wellness checks go wrong, there is absolutely no reason to defend the cops continuing to answer these wellness checks. This responsibility, at the very least, this responsibility of wellness checks needs to be moved to another area where you have people specialized in public health in dealing with those sorts of calls. So for me, this is just another one of these examples showing you why the police, at the very least in terms of wellness checks, need to be defunded.